Hello, everybody.
Welcome, one and all, to A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And on my show tonight, I'm going to be talking in depth about covering for predators. Predators of all shapes, sizes, sexes, backgrounds. Predators that assault, harass, womanize, stalk, kidnap, disrespect, that commit pederasty, that rape, that harass women and women who are part of all of this. Those people continue to pop up in these movements and campaigns for predators. They continue to promote, defend, protect, hide these predators. Predators of women and children and elderly people, people that have committed kidnappings, people that have been charged, convicted of crimes, like the images of the people you see behind Duke and I, Red Wolf Pope,
Derek Fassig,
that are currently in jail, and those that have been accused but were never charged, those that have been accused of disrupting, of womanizing, of stalking, of disrespecting, and yet they're still maintained in leadership roles. All of these things need to be eradicated. But they are not. They are entrenched. We have a problem with protecting and defending toxic men and women too, that are involved in these activities, and those who cover for them. Those who cover for them. Because for every single one of these predators, there is a whole entourage of people that protect them, that silence victims, that attack victims, that tell people there's a better way to handle this. Instead of exposing what this person is doing, instead of talking about this publicly, you should do it privately. You should talk to the person directly. Don't out them on social media.
Yeah.
Because you're going to hurt the movement. You're going to embarrass the campaign for protection of water, or for stopping the pipeline, or for helping the migrants. Whatever it is, you're not supposed to talk about the criming part. You're supposed to keep that to yourself if you know something about it. It's been happening since we saw Standing Rock encampments and all the encampments that have followed. It has been happening in Mexico. I have told you about these activists kidnapping children, providing drugs to the migrants, and even having sex workers sleeping with the children. I don't know what they did to the children or if they did anything to the children, but we know that they've been sleeping with the children. Here's the thing. For every single one of those that exists, there is a whole host of people covering up their crimes, keeping it quiet, telling everyone, shh, we got to protect them.
Yeah.
And the reason we are told repeatedly that these people accused of harassment, of disrespect of people's marriages and relationships, of a whole host of gross and inappropriate behavior, the reason we are told that we need to shut up about it usually has to do with how important protecting the image of men like this is to the movement. And they'll even tell you that the victims are lying and making these things up because these criminal types are so important. These harassers and predators, they're so, pivotal. Remember Jordan Sheridan had a whole PR machine behind him? And they said, the news Jordan Sheridan is producing is so important. That's why someone is accusing him of rape. Couldn't be that he's just a rapist. Oh, no. We are told the reason we need to be quiet about all of this sexual assault, rape, harassment, stalking, kidnapping, all of these things, cheating, womanizing. How many of the people that were at Standing Rock were sleeping around?
Oh, lots of them. Many.
Just sleeping with anything that moved. Drinking, drugging, harassing. Almost too many to count, right?
Exactly.
You've heard of these allegations, including rape and pederasty, including crimes for which some have already been convicted, as I said. But you've heard the names Derek Fassig, Mike Fassig, Evan K. Duke III for drinking and womanizing, Chase Iron Eyes, drinking and womanizing, Frank Archambault for raping children. Mike Fassig was accused of being a pimp, a drug pusher, among other things. Jordan Sheridan, Chelsea Lyons, Kent, Ty Bayless, accused of rape. Red Wolf Pope, accused, convicted now, or is going to soon be convicted. Rape. Ed Higgins, Myron Dewey, Eddie Black Cloud. The list goes on, and now they're talking about it some more. Now, folks, recently there was a new documentary that was sent to me for me to watch about what happened at Standing Rock and what's going on with climate change, called The Condor and the Eagle. This is a screen capture of the title of the movie.
The Condor and the Eagle.
And it was just like when I watched that Nightmare on Elm Street, or what was it called?
Standing Rock, Awake,
whatever.
Scream in Your Dreams, or something like that.
Featuring kidnapper and professional evil woman Mulaney Stoneman, along with so many other Standing Rock phonies. frauds, liars, criminals that were featured in that movie that make you want to vomit. Mm-hmm. I realized that the propaganda and the propping up of these criminal types of people, it didn't stop at Standing Rock. It continued with the movies. It continued with the documentaries. It continued with the circuit, the junkets that these people went on to premieres at Sundance, at here, that festival, the one in Europe. Then they had to go on and do the books and the songs and oh my God, the concerts. And so I guess there's money to be made. And maybe that's why you just continue with the vision of the eagle and the condor and you put people in the movie that have questionable backgrounds. And you continue to work with those people no matter what they've done, no matter what they've said. Mm-hmm. But it really bothers me, and I feel like I have to say it, that we continue to give voice, to give a free pass to people that we know have been accused of crimes, of being dangerous to vulnerable people, especially the ones we continue to report on now that are involved with the caravans. So I was very upset when I watched this documentary, The Condor and the Eagle, and it featured people like Faith Spotted Eagle. Mm-hmm. And it featured people working currently with the Carrizo Comecrudo tribe and the Texas camps. And it also featured Camp Horniak and his mother, Casey.
Casey, yes.
Casey Camp Horniak was featured prominently in this documentary, Condor and the Eagle. And of course, you know, this whole documentary features stuff about what happened at Standing Rock and what's happening to indigenous people's rights in places like the Amazon, Peru, Ecuador.
Yep.
And what is happening in Canada and in the United States with Native American tribes, their sovereignty, their rights to minerals, to resources. Oil is bad. Oil, fracking, oil extraction, gas extraction. All of these things are continuations of genocide. And of course, we have the discussion of climate change. That's what this Eagle and Condor thing is really about. But it tracks all of this all the way back to Standing Rock, right?
Yep.
And they have Casey talking about how she does this activism, trying to get people to remember how they're connected to the earth, how hurting the earth hurts humans upon the earth, and especially the component of how it is killing our women. How it is a continuation of violence on women's bodies, and how, incidentally, the most affected group of people by this violence on women's body are indigenous people, just like they are the most affected by environmental racism, just like they are the most affected by the destruction of their resources, the taking of their water, etc., etc. And in the film, you see her son, Wes Horniak, which is standing next to her in the backwards baseball cap, as they talk about the water rights and what's going on next to the polluted waterways in which they are fishing. And, you know, the idea behind the Condor and the Eagle is about a prophecy. It's about a vision. It's about how Native people, how indigenous people of this continent are supposed to work together, right? To come together to protect the earth and to protect humanity and to defend the earth's rights, Mother Nature's rights to exist because it is protection of us. But why? Why we must use figures like Red Wolf Pope or Derek Fassig, or for that matter, Wes Horniak, to represent people in this movie, Indigenous people working on missing and murdered Indigenous issues, or anything having to do with vulnerable people, I will never understand. Because it puts a blot on the entire issue. It turns the presenter of the information into a hypocrite, into a liar, into a deceiver, because you are presenting it through the lens of a criminal, an abuser, a harasser. In the Anti-Colonial Land Defense page, which talks about Indigenous issues, angry people that know Wes Horniak, the man you see featured in this recent documentary I was just showing you these still pictures from months ago on this page, Anti-Colonial Land Defense, was being called out for his problematic behavior.
Oh.
Why don't you go ahead and read this? Look at this.
This is February 5th.
Ago. Yes.
Anti-Colonial Land Defense breaking. This man below, Wes Horniak, is a domestic abuser and was spotted at the National Butterfly Center camp near the border yesterday. He's a very problematic Indigenous man who physically hit and physically assaulted Mama Huiz Rich on the front lines at Standing Rock. Mama Huiz is from Mothers Against Meth Alliance in Pine Ridge, South Dakota. An Anti-Colonial Land Defense supports survivors of domestic violence and Mama Huiz Rich. McCausey was also supposedly paid about $10,000 to organize MVDA, and when the cops came to evict, he had his people take down barricades and told people to stand their ground or resist. This verbally and physically abusive, manipulative man is dangerous to you and your families and our movements. He will use beep, identity, polytricks to try to say maintain power, etc. Hold him, yes, Misaki Horniak, accountable and keep him out. He's also not an elder. He's an abusive older, and that is that.
And it keeps going.
Yep. I have to get down there so I can move it. Take what we learned from Standing Rock to have a hard conversations about colonialization, decolonialization, anti-colonialism, spiritual abuse, the difference between older and elder, and earned and learned title, to take action to make our movement better and safer places to hold people accountable. Our collective liberation depends on it. There's a bunch of hashtags, and there's this picture.
Wes Horniak. You see that picture? It was the picture of the protest march that I had on my last show. If you will recall, on Friday I was talking about the activities of people at the Texas camp, where Evan K. Duke III, another recent arrestee for being a rioter at a protest in Portland, was also camping along with sex workers Lilith Sinclair and Douglas Warren, and many other people at that camp, which I was showing you, were very problematic. Addicts, abusers, etc. A camp full of them. Full of them. And why that should be infuriating to you, why the fact that this continued silencing happens, why do we still have to talk about this? Why are we still 3 years after Standing Rock uncovering dirty cloth after dirty cloth after dirty laundry story about what happened and who helped cover it up? And it was usually the people working closest to them, from organizations like Indigenous Environmental Network, which was prominently featured in this documentary, who's been working very closely with a lot of criminals, including Red Wolf Pope, and rapists, and sexual abusers, and assaulters, and harassers, and stalkers, and liars, and frauds. But they're not the only ones. We have Honor the Earth, who doesn't honor anyone, according to a post from the Indian Problem, another problematic organization. But if you will recall, Honor the Earth was also sued recently for sexual assault of Indian children by one of the so-called spiritual healer employees employed by Honor the Earth. Remember that? We talked about that on my show?
Yeah. And they let these people go a long time. I mean, they're talking about this guy way back in Standing Rock and saying he was known at Standing Rock for these things. That was 3 years ago. And here he is, prominent in the Eagle Meets the Condor movie, and is going around several countries and coordinating this movement, to make this movie, big. And they're putting stuff out a long time ago about him, and no one does anything.
No one does anything. What is so ironic to me is that these people go around calling themselves defenders of human rights, okay? Not human traffickers, not frauds, not abusers. No, they call themselves water defenders, defenders of the sacred, defenders of human rights, defenders of migrants. They're defenders.
Yep.
They're defenders. They're protectors.
They're not offenders. They're defenders.
And they are hypocrites and liars. And the people they work for and with and who uphold them and put them in the spotlight, like Honor the Earth, like Winona LaDuke, like Juanita Locke, like the Society of Native Nations and who they promote, like the Indigenous Women Rising, like the Women's Indigenous Media, like Activate Now, Truth Against the Machine, the Young Turks. I could go on.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what those people were doing themselves. You know that many of the people were involved in media platforms as they were doing these despicable things. As they were doing these despicable acts. And we don't know what the outcome is yet of that lawsuit against Honor the Earth and specifically Winona LaDuke for the sexual harassment that she allowed to continue in her organization by an employee she defended even after being told numerous times that they were credible claims of sexual assault by him on children.
Yep.
Numbers of children plus sexual harassment of an employee.
Yep.
Can a woman like her, Winona LaDuke, so prominent as an activist and a water protector, can she and her organization back, defend, and protect sexual predators so that they can cover their own arses? Yes, they can.
And they have.
And they do. And they don't care. And they don't care. And this anti-colonial land defense post calling out Mr. No, I'm not. I'm on the anti-colonial land defense.
Whoops, I'm sorry.
Post.
Wrong one. Sorry about that.
On this anti-colonial land defense post, if you'll scroll down even further, you will see, you're scrolling up. If you'll scroll down even further, you will see, those are just the pictures of him that they posted with.
Yes.
The guy that's behind him is Dwayne Redwater, another one of the Standing Rock Native Americans that has now gotten himself involved with the caravans and the migrant movement, but that have also inserted themselves into issues like the missing and murdered Indigenous women movement. In the comments of this post, a guy whose last name is Mancias and who seems to be related to Juan B. Mancias, the tribal chairman of the unrecognized, non-federally recognized Carrizo Come Crudo tribe that I was showing you had so many press allies to sell their BS propaganda about the border wall and the butterfly sanctuary and the cemetery that they seem to be protecting against no one and nothing in Texas. He comments on this post about Wes Horniak, a guy he's been working with at this camp and whom he knows, and he is related to the tribe's chief. This Pablo, what does he say? In response to this post calling out Wes Horniak, he says, problematic indigenous man. He's quoting what the post originally said. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't like it. And he says, problematic indigenous man or problematic behavior. I think a healing circle might help everyone. Oh, you sound just like Winona LaDuke. In response to that post about the man she covered for who was sexually assaulting children. Yep. She said something about a healing circle. Mm-hmm. Couldn't we solve this with the healing circle?
Yep.
Yeah, let's have somebody rape your children and then see if a healing circle fixes it. Mm-hmm. How about that?
Yeah.
Because that is what they're saying you should do in response to domestic abuse and sexual assault. This is a man that is representing the rights of immigrants to cross into our country without documentation, putting their own children at risk. This is a person who has been down protesting a border wall being finished in Texas, and at the same time is accused of being a sexual assaulter. Sorry, not a sexual assaulter, a domestic abuser, mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
And this man, Pablo Mencias, says, I don't know why you're talking about him like this. Maybe a healing circle could have fixed it. Yeah. Healing circle might help everyone. And also, secondly, did you try contacting the organizer of the activists, of the actions, before you started circulating this message that will make us look bad mm-hmm. at our camp? Which is not, it doesn't just have one guy, Wes Horniak, who's problematic. There's Orlando Cruz, who's addicted to meth mm-hmm. or something worse, or maybe possessed by Satan. I'm not sure which. I'll let you guys decide on that. But he's definitely on something. You've got Mason Bobby Leonard, Evan K. Duke, Myron Dewey, Doug Warren, Lilith Sinclair. The list goes on. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All these people I've called out. And then he says, your issues could still have been addressed, just silently.
Yeah.
This was counterproductive. Calling out domestic abuse, abusing women is counterproductive to stopping an imminent threat at the border. This imminent threat that this person is referring to, this Mencias guy, mm-hmm. is the completion of a border wall where none exists. You could drive a truck through there currently.
Yeah.
At a camp that was supported by a self-proclaimed coyote, Louis Monsivice, and former felon, mm-hmm. Louis Monsivice, to name just one of the many problematic people affiliated with this film, with this camp, and with predation, with unethical at the very least and criminal at the very worst behavior. A long list, a long slew of these people.
And their method is to try to cover it up, and it reminds me of dealing with legislators and government officials. Whenever you brought stuff to public meetings, they'd be like, we should be talking about this out of this room, not in front of the public eye. The best way to solve these problems is that we go behind closed doors and we work this stuff out. These people see these people out there and they do nothing. They see them criming, they see them committing violence, and they still keep them at the top of their movement because they already stuck them there, and they're stuck with them. And they ain't going to disavow themselves and bring themselves down. No, they're just going to deflect, and just, let's do a healing circle behind closed doors where nobody sees, and somehow we'll just heal from all this. And yet the crime goes on. There's still victims. There's still court cases. There's still a law that needs to deal with people. And they condone that because they want to cover it up.
And they don't want you to question their judgment.
Exactly.
Okay, Let's get real. Let's get real. And I'm talking about all of the people that have fallen for the nonsense of any of these exploiters, including up in recently to Paloma for fraud. For Trump, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
Paloma Zuniga de Lin. All of these fraudsters that I have brought a spotlight on have in common that they have tricked a lot of people into buying their BS. That's why they're called con men.
Yep.
Because they gain your confidence. And they're good at it. They're good at drawing people in, at getting people to pay attention to their BS.
Yep.
At drawing attention upon themselves. But how long before people find out that the person that you put confidence in, support behind, resources behind, that you put a spotlight on, that you recommended to friends, that you told people, oh, I can vouch for them, that you'll helped get those people into other people's homes, into other people's wallets, then you feel bad because you recommended this person. And as I've told you, some of these people are more dangerous than others. Some are merely thieves and liars. Others are rapists and assaulters and kidnappers, like Mulaney Stoneman, who put an elderly woman in an early grave along with her friends that covered for her. And I will never, as long as I live, let the people of Standing Rock and the fraudsters associated with that crime that happened at Standing Rock forget that I know that all of you who supported Mulaney Stoneman, a criminal, a kidnapper, and continued to work with her and try to shove her down our throats, even till this day, I will never let you forget how questionable your movement, your campaign, your judgment, the whole enchilada is. Because you included her. Because you decided with her, and you decided with Bill Running Fisher, and you decided with Evan Duke, and you decided with all of these criminals, including Derek Fassick and Red Wolf Pope. And now we know the magnitude of what these criminals are capable of. And now everyone knows how comfortable and willing you are to work with criminals of this magnitude. To support them, to fund them, to travel around the world with them, to raise millions of dollars with them. We know that you are completely comfortable doing those things and putting these people forward. And I will never let people forget. I will continue to remind you so that you can see past how vapid, how empty these movements and campaigns really are. As I said on my last show, there is no respect by any of the activists who keep coming up as being abusers of people and drugs, people that don't respect the camp that you have them at in Texas any more than they respected the camp here at Standing Rock. Why? Because they know that the prophecy is a lie. That you poop on it, that you disrespect it just as much as they do because you know it's all made up gobbledygook. You don't respect it. You don't believe in it. Why should they? You have a bunch of criminals and predators working as security people You have a bunch of criminals and predators working as your media people.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bunch of criminals and liars and thieves working as your medics, as your healers. And you expect us to respect and treat everything that you're saying as gospel and worthy of respect without question? No, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That is not how things work. And not only do I know that this goes beyond surface level, this goes deep. This goes very, very, very deep. And the reason why so many of the women out there have remained silent and have remained quiet is because they are complicit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget that I showed you Winona doesn't have a problem getting sued over having a sexual predator playing shaman who's a fake shaman working for her predating sexually. Why? Why would you do that? Because she's done it before.
Mm-hmm.
She did it with her daddy, Sun Bear. She's done it. She's trained on it. So of course she's going to do it with someone else. Of course these people are comfortable around people that they have in their own circle defended in the past, including people in their own family in many cases. Pablo's Facebook page reveals that he also has as his avatar for his profile one of the designs made by the people at the Texas camp.
Oh, boy.
Protect the sacred, butterflies with no borders. Remember that?
Yep.
You remember that.
I remember that.
Pablo Mancias posted on his page this butterfly border t-shirts, which were, of course, promoted and sold by many people, especially Susie Des Bomb. Susie Des Bomb had her own missing and murdered Indigenous women page, and much like Pobre Pendeja Paloma, lost her page due to its misuse on Facebook for things it should not have been used for. Although each of these pendejas will tell you it was taken away from them for some other reason.
That's right.
That was a lie.
It was censorship from Facebook.
Some made up reason. But in reality, they had their stuff taken down because they were misusing it.
Mm-hmm.
And Susie Des Bomb had around the same, like 80,000 followers or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think she cried. She did a video crying about it.
Uh-huh.
80,000 people.
Yep.
She wanted everyone to call Facebook, but you can't call Facebook.
That's right.
And she posted about the T-shirts. Can we go back to the T-shirt post?
Oh, I sure can.
Because I want you to look at who was tagged on Juan Mancias. Pablo Mancias, the guy that was just saying, hey, why don't you just shut up about this Wes Horniak who's in this documentary I just told you about. Months ago, this was brought up. Months ago, it could have been resolved. But months ago, Juan Mancias, who is related to the Manciases of the tribe of the Comecrudo at this Texas camp.
Okay.
He was like, shh, why you got to bring this up in public? Months ago. And this is what was tagged along with Pablo, because he's in here in the tags. But so is Michelle Cook, that lawyer from the WPLC that was traveling around collecting money. Who else is there?
Doug McLean.
That's Indigenous Life Movement. Crossed the border, got a bunch of stops a bunch of times.
Yep.
Doug McLean. Winona Locke.
Yep.
From Standing Rock. Adam Elfers of El Puente, the band that recently had one of its members get asylum in the United States. Who else is in there?
Annalise Garza, Felicia Teeter, Pablo Mancias, Jesse Garcia,
the guy that was from
wanted by the law, Christina Mancias,
the daughter And next, tribal chairman.
Oh, yes. Joe Plouffe.
One of the people that started the Texas camps.
Frankie Orona.
Frankie Orona is the guy that's in Red Rum with the Red Rum jacket.
Oh, wow. Lori Burnett.
I can't remember what she is. Or Cindy.
Cindy Cochran.
Or
Bobby Wallace.
Or Linda. Can't remember right now.
Dwayne Cantu.
I don't know that.
Okay, David Hill.
But Ernesto Burbank.
Oh, Ernesto Burbank. There he is.
He was from the Flint camp. He was from... We've got drone pilot.
Oh, Mason Bobby Leonard.
There's the chief.
Juan B. Mancias.
Then we jump down to Vanessa Dun.
Orlando
Meth addict,
Cruz.
Orlando Cruz. We have Gary Brewer, who was a veteran with the veterans, stand for Standing Rock Veterans.
Yeah,
Raymond Standing Rock.
Raymond Reyes.
He helped to start the camp in Texas. And we have Ramon Reyes. Who was one of the people directly involved in the kidnapping of Mary Trujillo in the framing of Kathleen Bennett.
Oh, there's Desiree Kane.
There's fake Indian Desiree Kane of the Indian Problem Desiree Kane.
Oh, Frances Fisher, of course.
Actress Frances Fisher is tagged on this guy's page. We have Laura Christina Livingston Berga, otherwise known as Lolly B. Heelan.
Yeah, Lolly B. Running.
Lolly B. Lying.
Lolly B. Lying, yes. And a few other people.
And
the national.
Notice who all is tagged from the Butterfly Center all the way to Hollywood, folks. Don't you think that's interesting? And this is, again, months ago, it was brought up that this man is problematic, and all of the people associated with him include this vast, vast network of people. Right?
Yep.
In this next one, we have Susie's Protect the Sacred, a butterfly
emblem,
and then all these people are tagged.
Yeah, Winia Locke, Gary Brewer, Kat Perez, Pablo Mancias, Frances Fisher again, Juan B. Mancias, Christina Mancias, Ramon Reyes, Doug McLean, Vanessa Dun, take yourself.
This was not long ago, dude.
Juan Gomez. Okay, this is in February, it looks like.
Yeah. This was not that long ago. This is still
fresh.
In the recent camps, caravans era, okay?
Yep.
And this guy happens to be in a band called the Indigenauts. Like the astronauts, but indigenous astronauts. The Indigenauts.
The Indigenauts?
This is
the Indigenauts?
One of their posters.
Indigenauts.
Indigenauts.
Live at Ocho. The Indigenauts.
Not nuts, honey.
Indigenauts.
Indigenauts.
I'm from North Dakota. We pronounce things kind of funny up here, but, looks kind of nutty to me.
Well, Pablo is not just somebody that's related in a weird band. He is part of the protesters. He's part of the camp. He's part of the whole deal. Here he is with his, I don't know, uncle, whatever he is, Mr. Juan B. Mancias and Christina and the whole gang at a protest. No border, no wall protest. Check it out. Starts out with Mr. Mancias' face right in the camera. There's his kisser. Now he flips it.
Staff here in Alamo.
And there he is. Pablo is at the stage speaking.
Going and to fight back against this wall. So thank you to the amazing student groups that are organizing this. Thank you to NETHA for being here. Thank you to the Sierra Club for getting this event going. And thank you all for being here. We need your help. Keep the movement going and keep our words alive.
Thank you. Okay, so what about Susie Des Bomb? She gets tagged in that post. And Susie Des Bomb is discussed. She says, I'm not going to read the part where she talks about this, but you can see right there at the very top that the chairman, she knows that the tribe knows, and the chairman knows about this whole Wes Horniak issue.
Okay.
as well as I was told he was on his way north, meaning Wes Horniak is not at the camp, not at the Texas camp anymore. He isn't around and isn't around. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, for those of you concerned about this domestic abuser and obviously horrible human being, Wes Horniak, representing people at the border camp in Texas, don't worry about it because the chairman knows about this. And by the way, he's not around anymore.
Yeah. He's gone.
And then someone jumps in named Phoenix Johnson, responding to Mimi, who's like, okay, cool. Thanks, Susie. I guess we're, everything's cool. And she says to Mimi and also to another woman in this thread that were talking about and tagging Susie to make sure that Susie, one of the activists and defenders of women who go missing and murdered and are abused and assaulted and kidnapped, that she knows what this guy is doing because she's at a camp, because she's at that Texas camp and she's working with the activists that are allowing him to be there. And she's like, yeah, knew about it, not there, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So this woman, Phoenix Johnson, or person, I don't know who they are, if it's a woman or a man, they said what? They said, honestly, I was targeted by a violent group of men and women who stalked and harassed me, corroded my working relationships, sexually degraded me, started rumors, and during this, I endured an assault, a sexual assault that was covered up. My car was stolen. My home was broken into. Not to mention, I'm a veteran. And they disrespected photos from an honoring and said that I was lying about my service. Now, get this, Duke.
Yeah.
Susie Des Bomb, a.k.a. Vanessa Dun, joined in on the harassment.
Really?
After one of their women, one of the women that was abusing her, assaulting her, all these other things she said, after one of their women sympathizers encouraged Susie to do so. All because I called these men out about their toxic behavior and their exploitation of missing and murdered Indigenous women for their come up in the film industry. And then called it out and named them like we are doing here after they didn't reconcile.
Wow.
And what I'm saying is, you took it away so I can't read what it's saying. What I'm saying is, I'm saying this and I'm saying be careful for these survivors. In other words, Susie Des Bomb is not a safe person.
Yeah.
Because Susie Des Bomb joins in with harassers and she's like them. And she says right there to Susie, she says, Mimi, Pablo is the chairman's son. Oh, thanks, Susie. Now we know. Pablo is the chairman's son. He might be in line to be the next chief, too.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Point is, he's family members with the chairman of the tribe, non-federally recognized tribe, but nonetheless, who is defending the activities of Wes. And look at what this woman is saying, man or woman, Phoenix. They had all of these horrible things happen to them, including being broken into, because, why? Because they called out the fact that these abusers were making a name for themselves in the film industry. And they were doing it by becoming prominent in movements about missing and murdered Indigenous women. Don't you get how infuriating and disgusting it is to see somebody like Mulaney Stoneman or Red Wolf Pope the rapist or Derek Fassig or anyone from his family that abused and harassed and threatened women as part of some movement or campaign to supposedly defend the rights of women, it's infuriating.
Yeah, it is.
It's disgusting. And no victim deserves what Susie Des Bomb did. Susie Des Bomb did something that no victim deserves. And that is, she was in defense of, this is the same one, isn't it? Oh, it says right there, Carrie responds and she asks if he had assaulted a female or an elder there, even if he is suspected of that. Other camps might appreciate the opportunity to decide for themselves whether or not they want to risk having him in their camp. How does your beef, this person is asking the person, Phoenix, what does your problem or your beef with Susie have to do with what he is being accused of? And Phoenix comes right out and says, because Susie is being tagged in on this post. And I'm saying this is a potential threat. Susie Des Bomb, Vanessa Dun is a potential threat. Re-traumatizing this new victim or survivor. And it's really belittling for you to say it's a beef.
Yeah.
Susie played a part in the violence. She was, like I said before, these people are conspirators. They're co-conspirators. They participate. Susie took part in the violence and the targeting by participating in retaliatory backlash for speaking out, which is something no victims deserve. No victim deserves. So, Native News did an article on this, and we'll share that in the links to the show so you can go check it out for yourself. But Native News did an article on this in which they prominently featured this accused domestic violence person. And there he is in the red shirt, right in front, next to the tribal chairman, Juan Mancias. And in a video from this article, which I'm about to show you, you will see Evan Duke, another person that's been accused of womanizing and drinking, and you'll see how comfortable they are in having these people. They need every hot body they can get because most of the people in the Carrizo Come Crudo tribe aren't from the Carrizo Come Crudo tribe. Here's the video. They look like they're holding on to invisible ropes inside of an invisible bus.
Yeah.
Dwayne Redwater. There's Evan Duke. There's Christopher Balsadue. There's Mason Bobby Leonard, the drone pilot. Sex worker Warren.
That's a gun, yeah.
There's Brendan Tucker behind the sign. There's V. Patel. There's that guy that's the journalist. He's got the black cap on his head. He's kind of covering up his, V. Patel's boyfriend. Or, I don't know. They look like they were in a relationship. So, again, you've got their media allies within that march. You've got their activists, paid activists. It's all for show, folks. And Meth Camp also posted about another person who's recently been accused of being a predator. Here is Meth Camp's post. Would you read that one for me?
I sure will. Meth Camp. Y'all better get a better radar. I could see movements. I could see his movements and the way he inserted himself into situations. So we had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with him or to share his beep. Meanwhile, so many of you were making him the voice and allowing him access to so many communities. So before y'all act taken aback and look at your part in his actions, none of you cared as long as he was co-signing for you. I asked and questioned many people why they were endorsing him for issues when he is not from any Native community. And I got mad. Blowback for that. Yeah. People calling him their little brother. You brought him into our communities. You are responsible for that. So don't be crying the loudest when he is exposed. Thankful, my sister Holyoke Lafferty is using her voice and letting it be known what a creep and a piece of beep he is. Takes a lot of strength to step up. Okay, who is this? Oh.
It's
Angelo Sison.
His real name is Angelo. He went by the name of Angelo Wolf after that.
Oh, yes.
His real name is Angelo Sison.
The Wolf.
And he's Filipino.
Yeah, he's a faker, boy.
One of the more recent stories we did on him, he was raising money to reunite with his son.
Yeah.
Who was on the island.
Yeah, that's
and he wanted to go back home to get him or bring him back here.
Yeah.
I don't know. But in a video in which he never mentioned the names or actually called out in a call out sense where you'd be like, you know what you did and what you did was wrong. You sexually assaulted a woman or whatever. He never actually used those words. But in a video in which he was supposedly putting his foot down and calling out all these men, which included...
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Mike Fassig, Derek Fassig, Ed Higgins.
And he did an app, too. Like a missing and murdered Indigenous women app on a phone. He's trying to make money on that. I remember this guy. I remember him really well. I remember him at Standing Rock. He was always dressing in these traditional garb, and he wasn't even Native. And his hair was done. They called him Pretty Boy and all this sort of stuff. But he was out there just milking it. He looked like he was like highfalutin, high class design person, which he was. He's a clothes designer, out of Standing Rock. But he went on to follow the whole Derek Fassig thing, and he stood up one day and started speaking to men. Time for men to stand up. It's time for men to be accountable. That guy right there we just saw, who was a predator himself, was out there trying to look, I saw right away, right through him, because I thought, this guy's trying to look really good in front of the women. They're propping him up. People were like, oh, look at Angelo. Look at how he's stepping up. Other men need to do this too. And it turns out this guy was doing the same stuff. What a wolf Angelo Wolf was, to sneak in there, with the sheep. Allegedly, yes, okay, allegedly.
Well, listen, I have only found this post by Gomez-Schempp reposting this other post by, who was it? Who's the other person that reposted it?
This one?
The Gomez-Schempp.
Oh.
The one you were just looking at.
Yeah.
Right under that picture of Angelo is the person that posted it. Renahu Wadi Cheridi or something like that. Yeah. I can't even pronounce that.
So
now I want you to read the original post. This is the original post that accuses Angelo Sison of doing something bad.
This one here?
Yeah.
By Holy Elk Lafferty?
No.
Oh.
It's called Gomez-Schempp Post Angelo Sison. And it was written by Rana Huaidai Echariri, whatever the hell you say, how you say that.
Well,
I want you to read the original post.
This one right
which
here.
Which is the accusation against Angelo Sison.
Okay. Angelo Sison is a pedophile. And as a predator, he has groomed a lot of folks in the movement. He uses missing, murdered Indigenous women to portray himself as a protector. But in actuality, he's a danger to our communities. Men in the movement who are friends with Angelo Time to hold him accountable. No free passes. Everyone wants to call out abusers until it's your home. The time to speak up, defend, protect is now. Idle no more. End rape culture. Protect the children. Stand with the warriors as they expose these sick bleeps like Angelo. I stand with my sister, Holy Elk Lafferty.
Okay. So, this is storytelling time.
Yeah.
In which I tell you a story. For those of you who don't know, and again, these accusations are supposedly coming from the source Holy Elk Lafferty, according to this person. And I saw many other posters talking about this post, reposting this Raramuri, whatever person's post, making the accusation that he's a sexual, was a pedophile?
Predator.
Didn't it say he's a pedophile?
Let me check.
I thought you said the word pedophile. It's called Gomez-Schempp.
It's right there. Is a pedophile. It says he is a pedophile.
Oh, see?
It says right there. And a predator.
That is not a small accusation.
No,
that is,
no.
You know, people don't just go around throwing the word pedophile.
No.
And did you understand that it meant that Holy Elk was making the accusation? So this Rana Haudi, or whatever this person is saying that they believe Holy Elk Lafferty. So she must be one of the sources of information and maybe even knows the victim. Maybe she's even related to the victim. I don't know. There isn't any other information out there. And most of the other posts I saw out there where they were reposting that post said, I stand with Holy Elk. You know, we believe her, things like that. So I'm like, okay, so this seems to sound as if Holy Elk made a post or said something publicly about Angelo Sison, whom she was dating for a while. So let me catch you up on the gossip. Okay? You remember that after Standing Rock, people went all over different camps, started. Angelo Sison and Mama LaDonna's funding were largely responsible for funding the Flint Flophouse and Camp Promise that was headed up by former Nazi, whatever the heck his name was. You remember?
Yep.
And Angelo Sison and Chelsea Lyons Kent were run out of town on a rail after they
skipped rent and did a bunch of other stuff too.
Squatted and took off without paying thousands of dollars worth of rent at a home in Flint. Okay? And we also know that this is the time, around the time when Chelsea Lyons Kent was not only involved in raping her co-worker with Jordan Sheridan and Ty Bayless of Truth Against the Machine and working as correspondents for the Young Turks in Flint. They were also accused of very lewd, disgusting, and even criminal behavior in Flint, in bars, at the camp, etc. I have interviews from people that were at that Camp Promise that heard stories from Chelsea Lyons Kent and witnessed their behavior at the camp, and it was horribly inappropriate behavior and sexually inappropriate and inappropriate behavior.
Yep.
These are the kinds of people that were prevalent at places like this. And they were supposedly going there as activists and as reporters to help shed light on the water crisis in Flint.
Yep.
To help the local people. They didn't go help local people.
They helped themselves.
They helped themselves. They damaged property. They took resources that the people of Flint needed. They partied. They did crazy things, which is what they do wherever they go. This is what they do wherever they go. I wanted to remind people of who Sison was before, and this was after Standing Rock, which he was also prominent at. And then, what happened? He went on to make his app, to start his clothing line, right? Here's a post that Holyoke Lafferty did about the accusation that is currently being made that he's a pedophile, that Angelo Sison, her ex-boyfriend, is a pedophile. And this is what she said. You want to read that for me?
Yeah, I was just now scrolling for a minute and realized that I hadn't seen someone post for a while. And then my stomach sank. And I thought, damn, what if they blocked or unfriended me because of my recent disclosure? Or maybe they don't believe me.
Disclosure.
So when I went to search the name, but it was also simultaneously repeating in my head, but Idog anyways. I don't know what that means, Idog.
I don't give a beep.
Oh, okay, it's an abbreviation for swearing. Almost like a panic mantra. And guess what happened? I forgot whose name I was going to type in. Guess I actually don't give a F who doesn't believe me, or at least it's proof that you can use that method to retain your mindset or not to care. Either way, I'll take it. I'm sure the name will pop into my head at 3 a.m. and I still won't give a F then either.
So, it sounds like she disclosed something.
Yeah.
I looked at the rest of her page and she mentions in her comments on this or other posts that she deactivated her account on Facebook for a while. I think she said a week.
Oh, I see.
It's been a while since this accusation came out in social media. And people have been asking me to look into it, to talk about it. What I can tell you is that long before Angelo Sison and a lot of his buddies and people around him were called out, accused, finally exposed for being douchebags, and people like him had to disavow them in videos in which they didn't really disavow them. Because that's how douchebaggy they are.
Yeah.
Even when they were caught, they couldn't disavow their buddies. They couldn't be like, that guy is a horrible POS. No, they still had to like carry water for them and be all like wishy-washy and be like, and never even name them. That's how wishy-washy they were. They were awful. Wow. But frankly, I feel so was Holyoke Lafferty, who, by the way, Holyoke was one of the people that was working with Mulaney Stoneman when they were evacuating the camps.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a picture to remind you. I think Doug McLean is in this picture and Raymond Kingfisher is in this picture. Doug McLean, Raymond Kingfisher were recently at the march in Washington, D.C., where Indians, including Nathan Phillips, clashed with a group of Catholic children some of them wearing MAGA hats. You may recall that hoax perpetrated by that particular group of people. They're the same people that brought you the hoax of Standing Rock, the crazy BS that went on out there for over a year. And this was the culmination, basically, when they're getting ready to close the camps. And, of course, there's Mulaney Stoneman, the kidnapper, and her jacket grabbing the spotlight in front of the cameras run by some of the people in their allied media groups like Indigenous Life Movement. And then, of course, there's Holyoke Lafferty. They made these two women spokespeople. It did not matter to any of them at the time that I was doing reporting that they all heard about, knew about, refuted, and even attacked me for. Exposing who and what this dangerous woman was. But nobody wanted to hear about it. So they shut me down. They called me a liar and everything else because I wanted to expose Mulaney Stoneman. And they all had this reaction like, well, I'm working with Mulaney Stoneman, so if she's bad, then I'm bad.
Yeah, so she can't be bad.
So she can't be bad. Because I'm going to keep working with her.
Yep.
Remember when camp ended and they all went off
Yep.
to other places? We knew that their activities did not improve. In fact, this old Samantha Magdaleno post, she's an activist that was also at Standing Rock. Currently, she recently did that fundraiser, the GoFundMe, that was just on my last show.
Yep.
For one of the people in the stories that happened to be in that publication I was reading from. This same Sam Magdaleno posted this in October of 2017, saying,
Felt good to talk about the realness of Standing Rock yesterday, not the blank people try to turn it into. Angelo Sison was brought up. Person. What happened to Angelo Sison? Me. He turned into Angelo Wolf, hoping to pass as a native so white people would donate more to him.
Yes.
Lau, that douchebag, and all supporters. Good morning, y'all.
And that douchebag and all his supporters.
Yeah.
How long did the supporters continue?
Yeah, for a long time.
For a long, long time. And it went on. After Flint, what happened? They went to hurricanes.
Oh, that's right.
In Houston and in Florida, here they are hanging out together with Anthony Gazzotti and the self-professed human trafficker and smuggler and former felon, Louis Monsivice.
That's right.
People already knew by the time that Standing Rock and the other pipeline fights had happened that Louis Monsivice was an ex-felon, professional activist, professional actor.
Yeah.
And it didn't stop them from taking them on their missions,
junkets,
first aid, press junkets, reports. It didn't stop them from continuing to work even recently with him at the Texas camps.
Wow.
So they don't really care. And Chelsea Lyons Kent, the rapist of her own co-worker, along with Jordan Sheridan and Ty Bayless, the cameraman, all of whom raped one of their co-workers who had just turned 21.
Wow.
Who they intoxicated and then raped. This woman is pictured here with Yane Indigo, another one of these PR people from Hollywood that didn't care, and promoted people like Sison and Chelsea Lyons Kent. In this picture, they are at the People's Summit. Remember all the people that ended up going there, including Ed Higgins and Chase Iron Eyes?
Really big deal.
Whole host of other phonies.
It's a nice place to raise some donations.
And of course, we know that at Camp Promise there was a whole host of horrible people.
Yeah.
Here's just a list Samantha put out.
Short list.
On her page.
Oh my God.
From the start, I said this was a bad idea. The leaders / participants all went to Flint in a bad way. These are all people that went to Flint that were bad people doing bad things.
Oh, yeah. Chelsea Lyons, Angela Wolf, Sison, Brandon Green, Jordan Sheridan, Kaylee Salazar, Aylin Antonok, Lolly B, Ed Higgins, Dee Dee Banerjee, Mike Fasick, Jay Pino, Aubrey Peckham, Ernesto Burbank, Dennis Romero, Chumash. All these con artists were in on the camp and using Flint to get whatever money they could. Now where are they? All of them left. Left this camp with people not from Flint using fake addresses claiming a Flint residency. All at the expense of real people that are suffering. More shame on anyone following and supporting any of these people.
And then after that, more recently, she posted about her own abuse, her own domestic abuse at the hands of her ex-boyfriend, Brennan Nastasio, who she claimed in this video, and this is just one of the posts that she made.
Yeah.
It says trigger warning. This is about domestic abuse, and if you can pull it underneath the post made by Sam, she says that she needs to tell people about she showed a video of Brennan abusing her.
Oh, okay.
And she even tags the page that she made for him at one point to raise money and support him as he faced federal charges stemming from activities at the camp. And it says that this is her survivor story.
Okay.
And she, if you scroll down further, she talks about how she will never be like a woman named Josie Tewa Tenorio and Jen Orator. She names 2 women who stand by Brennan Nastasio, who she's calling out for being abusive, and allowed him to lie. She says, I will never victim blame and promote an abuser. I won't cover for an abuser or silence a victim. I will stand with women, and I will never fight a man's battle for him against women. Accountability is key if we ever truly want to end domestic violence. And the truth is that Josie Tenorio Tewa is the current girlfriend of Brennan Nastasio.
Okay, yeah.
And in case you hadn't noticed, Duke,
Yeah.
both of them are involved in missing and murdered Indigenous women work.
Oh, yes, yes.
That is what they are working on. And in this post from Samantha, she shows comments on Facebook back and forth between Josie and Samantha that she's tagging, in which she is making accusations about Samantha.
No.
Josie Tenorio, Brennan's girlfriend, saying, Samantha, it's your exes that confide in me and said how you abused them. So please just stop, seek help, seek relief, and get yourself some real attention. So she's saying, you're the abuser, not Brennan.
Oh, okay.
Samantha then says, Josie also says, get help, woman, move on with your life. You have a son that take care of him and stop all the drama. Get a grip. There's more men like you. There is more men, like you always say, so be happy and seek help and get well. And you or anyone won't stop me from always speaking out. And then another one, she says, like I said, you can bring anyone but to me. You need help and leave his family alone. Because just remember, you have a son, and Lord forbid he finds a wicked woman like you, and his life will become a living hell. Karma is hell.
Yeah.
So, lots, I'm not going to even keep reading that, but there's a lot. It looks like there's a back and forth going on between these 2 women, and there has been for a while. But as any victim of a domestic abuser, a harasser, a rapist, a predator, a fraud, whatever, would feel it is very triggering to see people like Brennan and Josie doing a fun run or whatever for missing and murdered Indigenous women, fundraiser, prayer run for missing and murdered Indigenous women, promoted by Laura Christina Livingston.
Oh my God.
When you know that it's for missing and murdered Indigenous women, the women that are most abused, the women that are most raped, victimized, killed, and that the people that are promoting and working on these issues are none other than the people that are promoting, propping up, and working closely, supporting these domestic abusers, these and that they stay silent about it. And in this Susie post, you can see that she is most recently been promoting Mauna Kea and the stand to protect Mauna Kea, right? But if you look at the bottom there, she is posting this from her no longer, now gone, missing and murdered page.
Oh, okay.
Indigenous Women and Men page.
Yes, Missing Flowers. Yes.
Right, which was started for her and run for her by Jay Ponte mostly. And of course, we have this Holy Elk photo from Mauna Kea because, of course, she's also there.
Yeah.
She's been there recently this summer, along with LaDonna, along with a whole bunch of other people that I showed you, some of whom were even in the Texas camp recently.
Yeah.
Like Bobby Mason Leonard.
Oh, yeah.
And Terrence Daniels and the other drone pilot, Shai Bidzell.
Oh, yeah.
Dean Dedman.
Dean Dedman, yes.
And remember, I want you to remember that Holy Elk Lafferty, that recently the other people that were promoting Mauna Kea were Mulaney Stoneman, that same kidnapper from the Kathleen Bennett case. And she was there with Lolly B.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that Sarah Sandoval woman that we had a whole show about.
Yeah, I remember her.
Okay. And she was in Tijuana, just like Lolly B was. Remember they were working on that shelter, El Puente?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to have to bring you guys some updates about the shelter situation.
Yeah.
But let's stay on topic for now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go all the way back, though, to when, after the camps, I started seeing these conferences start, these talks, these workshops where they were exposing the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women, and they were doing searches of these missing and murdered Indigenous women. And I was seeing Mulaney Stoneman, a kidnapper, at these things.
Yeah, exactly.
I was seeing Menape Lemaire, another person that was involved in framing an innocent woman like Kathleen Bennett. A person that's an ex-felon that was accused of working with those who were selling drugs at the camp and harassing women and assaulting women at the camp. Menape Lemaire.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole bunch of other ne'er-do-wells like Angelo Sison and Holy Elk Lafferty and Mulaney Stoneman. Did I mention Mulaney Stoneman?
Yep, you have.
And I got really upset when I saw a woman whom I considered to be a friend and who was, I thought, at the time, very well aware because I was telling her what happened to Kathleen Bennett, the crime committed against this family, that she too was there. Her name is Yelissa Yellowbird Chase.
Mm-hmm.
She has a group called Sanish Scouts, which she says is devoted to searching for missing people. Now, in this time, I saw that not only did she attend one event, she attended another event with Holy Elk and Angelo Sison. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what's going on? And I asked her about it. I asked Lissa what she was doing at these conferences. Here's a picture of both of them at one of these conferences that I'm mentioning. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, what's going on?
What's up? Yeah.
Why are you hanging out with Holy Elk Lafferty, Mulaney Stoneman's bestie, and Angelo Flippin' Sison?
Yep.
The guy that we know is hanging out with rapists and prostitutes and sex workers out at the Flint Flop House doing God knows what. Seriously? What are you doing with these folks?
Yeah.
And she was like, you know what? I am grateful to get into these very expensive conferences and events. And they got me tickets and frankly, they're helping me out, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Great.
okay, I guess I will not bring that up again.
Mm-hmm.
But here they are together, and you can see who's tagged it there is Angelo Sison, who took the picture. He was there with them. Mm-hmm. So he was traveling around to these events, and in this next picture you'll see that she was also hawking his merch.
Oh, yeah.
This is Unseated Clothing. That's the name of the clothing line that he was selling. And Angelo sold these T-shirts from his multiple different websites. Here he is with Sison with his shirt. Another design that was out there, no human is illegal, which kind of brings us into the present with all of these people wearing the shirts that have to do with open borders, no wall, indigenous people leading these camps like the Carrizo Come Crudo, where they're saying no human is illegal, no borders, no walls, because indigenous history. Are you tying these things together? And these are the same people that were going to these missing and murdered indigenous women events that were fronted by horrible, in the leadership of horrible people like Mulaney Stoneman, who somehow weaseled her way back into a position of empathy after kidnapping Mary Trujillo, putting Kathleen Bennett through hell, being a liar and a fraud, and according to many posts by many people at the camp, a thief as well. But you will recall that Derek Fassig, the guy that is behind you in that mugshot, kidnapped and violently raped a woman and kept her for a week. That woman was Lacey Jean Williams, one of the foster children of Mulaney Stoneman. And this is a post by Mahmoud Fitil in which you see that they're talking about missing and murdered indigenous women and what happened to Mulaney's foster kid. Who at one point had been dating Derek Fassig, who had been with Derek Fassig at Standing Rock at the camp, something that she never told the truth about in any articles, something that nobody in that family told the truth about in any of the articles about this story that came out, and who were prominently featured at events like this one that she posted about, where they are talking about the communities of missing and murdered indigenous women. These were the events where I saw my friend, Lissa Yellowbird Chase, and thought, why aren't you up in arms about the fact that you have a kidnapper?
Exactly.
That you have liars, kidnappers, and people that should have no business close to vulnerable people after what they did to Mary Trujillo and Kathleen Bennett. And you're just hanging out with them, taking pictures. Look at them. Here they are along the wall at this event, holding their banners. There's Mulaney Stoneman holding the Wells Fargo banner in a red shirt. And there they are, fists up in the air. Protect the sacred. Stolen sisters, stolen land. This person, I wouldn't let them near my cat. And I don't have a cat.
Exactly.
This is what they protect. They protect, silently continue to condone the conditions of having and working with these criminals. And that is why we have new victims all the time.
Exactly.
Newer and newer victims even to this day. Look at this post, recent post, Duke. This was from yesterday. Yeah.
Oh.
It tags Mulaney Stoneman because she is going to be cooking at an event for the Braveheart grandmothers. These are women that are supposed to be mentoring younger Indigenous women, and they have Faith Spotted Eagle has continued to allow vermin like Mulaney Stoneman to front anything after what she's been involved with and what she's put her own family at risk for.
Yep.
By involving them with criminals like Derek Fassig and Mike Fassig and all of the people that were invited to and kept at the camp and supported and protected, like Frank Archambault, the child molester that was in the security teams, and like so many other people that I have mentioned, womanizers, abusers, etc. In this post, and this is also very recent, as you can see from October 15th, one of Mulaney Stoneman's other children, and I don't know if he too is a foster child or a blood relative, but this child too has met a terrible end. He posted this rather bizarre post about ending his life. You want to read that?
My brothers played me out. The whole time I was leery about them. I should have kept that same wall up like I felt. Now I'm out of here, packing my steel. I know to fire now, then to wait. It ain't my high, it ain't my heart. MF instinct. I make the biggest comeback of all time. Gonna get me, suckers.
Come and get me.
Come and get me, suckers. This time I'm war ready.
And then Lacey posted that her twin brother, who this kid is, hung himself.
Wow.
This is the same girl that was raped by Derek Fassig.
Wow.
That was held against her will by Mike Fassig and Derek Fassig.
Wow.
And Aubrey Peckham. And a bunch of other people. Remember that?
Yep.
And she, and then of course, Mulaney posts about her son's passing.
Oh boy.
Lacey Williams' twin brother. She posts it, and she says, "Everything's ready. Prayers got me through this past 24 hours. So thankful for Faith, Sharon, Lauren, Paula, Judith, and grandmas of Braveheart. That society of women, the Braveheart Society of women that were involved with all of these horrible tragedies, many of which they personally had a hand in."
Yeah.
And she says, "As my world collapsed, they held me and Lacey up. Lauren held as I received the news about my son. I yelled, screamed for my son, my only boy. I could hear his great-grandma saying in my ear, 'Remember to try to get our loved ones taken care of in a 4-day period.' I listened. Thank you all for helping."
Wow.
So she recently had to bury a child.
Wow.
Horrible things continue to happen to the people anywhere near, around the group of people that framed Kathleen Bennett and put her mother in an early grave, including Mulaney's own kids.
Wow. In
this post, another former felon and man that framed Kathleen Bennett, Akichita Hoxita, or as we know him, his government name is Manape Lemaire. George Lemaire, really, is his name. Posts about the passing of this kid.
Yep. Says my nephew, rest in peace.
Yep, he calls him his nephew. And then, of course, we have Manape posting about this kid's passing and calls his sister Mulaney, "My humblest condolence to my sister Mulaney and her husband." They had no compassion for a woman they left to rot in a jail for 6 months until we were able to free her. We showed that they lied, that they committed a crime against this family. They showed zero remorse. And as one after another tragedy continues to befall this family, the people that crimed with them, protected other predators like them, continue to blindly forge ahead, supporting the people they always have. And continuing to put them in places of authority and of importance, including at the head of missing and murdered Indigenous women's groups. And of course, Mulaney will continue down that path because, doggone it, no one's going to stop her from bouncing back and also from doing the work. Here she posts that just a week ago, she had to put her son in the ground. But you know what? There's always ways to bounce back and overcome obstacles with positivity and good food. And there's going to be a party at the Grand Lodge for a mural of the Braveheart Lodge. And you know what? Everything's going to be okay. American Indian Movement, missing and murdered. This is the mural.
Well.
Now, she doesn't believe, and apparently nobody that supports her continuously since what she did to Kathleen Bennett happened, nobody seems to care, as no one seems to care now that problematic people should not be in leadership of these missing and murdered Indigenous groups or women's groups. No one seems to care then. No one seems to care now. And look how they defend themselves.
Yep.
All of the people that have been supporting and defending these predators, these harmful people, they all do it because they're complicit with them. But I also think that they are covering for these predators because their judgment is whacked.
Okay.
They have poor judgment. They put people that are dangerous, they put predators in positions of leadership, and they don't want to admit it. They don't want to show people that they made a mistake. And they put people in danger. Mulaney continues to be a scourge upon the earth. But she still defended her right to do work with missing and murdered Indigenous groups. In this post from August of last year, I believe, tagged with Alyssa Yellowbird Chase while they were supposedly working on bringing Olivia Lone Bear home, the woman they claimed to have found in Devil's Lake. I say claimed because it was a ridiculous story in which Mulaney Stoneman claimed to have talked to the dead woman, which they found.
Yeah.
And I also told you that members of this woman's family said Mulaney and Alyssa did not find this woman. But in this post, Mulaney defends the right to have problematic people there and not to discredit them.
Yep.
Because she doesn't discredit people as long as they're doing the work. As long as they're sacrificing, as long as they're committing. So what if they're frauds and kidnappers? So what if they put people in early graves? So what if they rape? So what if they harass? So what if they commit crimes? So what? They're doing the work.
Yeah.
At least they're doing the work. Doesn't matter how they do it. Doesn't matter if people get hurt along the way. They're doing it. That's the mantra. That's the mindset. That's why this keeps happening. That's why these folks continue to protect criminals and predators. And now that we know, we need to continue to call out not only the predators, but those who are covering for them. We'll be calling more of those folks out in my next show here on A Mexican Crossing Lines. Thanks for being with me, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And me, Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You've been listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Stay with 88.1 FM and have a great day.